Let me tell you about a girlfriend I had a few years ago at the University of Maryland. Her name was Michelle. She was very, very beautiful. Not only was she very beautiful, but also she had a great sense of humor, great personality, and she really loved me, which at first shocked me because all throughout middle school and high school, girls did not like me. But now all of a sudden, I'm in college and this supermodel-looking girl is totally into me. And I'm very infatuated with her as well because she's just so beautiful, with such a great sense of humor, great personality. Also, she came from a very high-class, prestigious family. She was very rich. So you think, what more can a guy ask for? But actually, there was something more. There was something that was missing. Something very important was missing in our relationship. You see, Michelle and I didn't share the same values. As I said, I'm a Christian, and she didn't share some of those same values that I had. We didn't have the same beliefs on certain key issues. And looking back on the situation, I realized I should have gotten out of that relationship once it was clear that we didn't share the same values on certain things, certain key things. Now, of course, in a relationship, the two people won't always agree on everything, but there were certain key issues that certain key values that we didn't share in common, and it was causing a lot of conflict. For example, one night, we're talking on the phone. She tells me about how her roommate went away for the weekend. She has the dorm all to herself, and she invites me over to spend the night. So now, as you can imagine, a person with my type of values, right? My type of Christian values. As you can imagine, that really put me in a very difficult situation. I'm in a very tough situation right now. Because I'm caught in between, on one hand, my strong desire to fulfill my sexual cravings for her. Holler if you hear me. And on the other hand, my strong desire to maintain my morals and my values. And in the beginning, I'm like, of course I'm not going to go over there. In the beginning, I remind myself that I don't believe in premarital sex. It goes against my beliefs. It goes against my values. It goes against my integrity. And I'm thinking to myself, you know what? I really need to break up with this girl. Because, it was hard enough for me to resist the pressure it was hard enough for me to resist the temptation of pressuring her for sex. But now, she's tempting me. And I realize that this is not a healthy relationship. She's pulling me down in a path that I don't want to go. So I realized I really need to break up with her. And so I'm in my dorm room, and I'm thinking about how I'm going to call her. I'm going to tell her that, this is just not working out. But then certain images started to roll around in my mind. Certain fantasies started to come into my mind. Holler if you hear me. My attitude changes. And now I'm like, this girl is too sexy. And I get dressed and I start walking from my dorm to her dorm. And all along the way, I'm going through this mental tug of war. At times I'll be thinking, Lance, don't do this. Lance, this is wrong. Lance, turn back. Lance, you will regret this. Lance, this goes against your moral values and your integrity. But then other times I'll be thinking, Lance, this is what you've been waiting for all throughout middle school and high school. So I keep on walking. I get to her dorm, and I'm outside her dorm building, about to push the intercom button. When all of a sudden, I see a reflection of myself in the glass part of the door. And for some reason, seeing this reflection of myself, it causes me to just stop and think. And I start thinking, who am I? What am I doing? I'm supposed to be a person of integrity, a person of moral values, but right now I'm about to do something that goes against my integrity, it goes against my values. And at that moment, I gain enough strength to turn around and walk back to my dorm. It's a very hard thing to do. Very difficult thing to do. To make a long story short, I break up with Michelle. I finally gain enough strength to break up with Michelle, which also was a very, very difficult thing to do. A lot of people thought I was crazy. Other people thought I was a homosexual because they felt like, what type of guy would break up with Michelle? What type of guy would reject such a beautiful girl? One of the most beautiful girls on campus. But deep down inside, I knew that I was doing the right thing. because I was maintaining my integrity. I was maintaining my values. Now, check this out. You know, I'm trying to avoid her around campus. I'm trying just to move on because still from time to time, I feel tempted to get back with her again, you know? So I was trying to get her out of my mind. I was trying to move on. I was trying to surround myself with people who have my same type of values, you know what I'm saying? And so I'm trying to move on. And so several weeks later, check this out, several weeks later, she calls me. She leaves a message on my answer machine, crying, begging me to call her back. And I call her back and she tells me how recently she had received a phone call from her other ex-boyfriend, a guy that she dated before me, a guy that she dated back when she was in high school. And he called her from a hospital and told her about how he's dying of AIDS and how the doctors have been encouraging him to contact all of his previous sexual partners, which included Michelle. And so Michelle is shocked, but she's not very worried because she feels very certain that, you know, she was his first, just like he was her first. But nevertheless, she goes and she gets tested. And you know anything about the HIV/AIDS test? It takes a while for it to be analyzed and for the results to come back. So she gets tested, and her doctor calls her back about a week or so later. And he wants her to come into the office. And now she's getting very nervous because, you know, he doesn't say much about the results over the phone. He wants her to come back in person. She's getting very nervous now. She calls me, and she wants me to come with her for support. So I go in, and I'm sitting right beside her when she finds out that she tested positive for HIV. She starts freaking out. I'm shocked as well. I'm thinking, this is unbelievable. How can this girl who looks so healthy, so beautiful, have HIV? Also, you know, she came from such a high-class family. I guess I believe the stereotype that, you know, girls, you know, people that come from such high-class, prestigious families don't have to struggle with these types of issues or whatever. You know what I'm saying? She came from such a high-class family. And so I'm just shocked. She's immediately placed on treatment, but apparently the medicine couldn't control the disease. The disease had developed so much in her body, and she ended up dying a year and a half after that, which was September of '03. Now I remember going through the series of events, you know, the wake and the funeral. It just was a very dramatic experience for me. So many thoughts were going through my mind. Especially because in the months leading up to her death, I'd visit her in the hospital, and our friendship really developed. We would talk about deep issues about life and our American culture. And you know, going around different schools, giving these presentations, sharing these stories, often I'll see a girl that reminds me so much of Michelle. And you know, the memories of Michelle gives me a passion to tell her story. You know, it's amazing how life has a way of teaching us very profound things. One of the things I've learned from this experience is that either I control my emotions or my emotions will control me.